overseas adventures of the Odia seafarers led to a lot of growth and development of coastal shrines, which are still there and they are revered by the communities. Odisha is also a place of Shakti worship. Yesterday we heard a paper about Saptamatrikas, so I'm not going detail into it because she dealt it on very wisely over there. So Varahi, Panchuvarahi is all 5 Varahis, and Varahis are the feminine energy of Varaha, and Varaha are a part of Saptamatrikas. Varahis are basically, when we talk about in context of Odisha, there are a lot of, they are used as Parsha Devata, they are used as temple fragments, they have dedicated temples to themselves. The left hand side picture that you see is Varahi temple at Chaurasi, which is ascribed to 10th century. But the earliest reference of Varahi sculpture that we see in Odisha belongs to Parshurameshwar temple, which is dated to 7th century. And the right hand side image is the tallest Varahi image that is found in the coastal district. It is almost 8 feet, and this is in Khajuraho district, and the village is Narendra. So this all shows that in various forms Varahis are found, and that's how the popularity of Varahi can be assumed from these temple and temple fragments. We are going to deal with now Maa Panchuvarahi temple. This is a very unique temple in the sense that this is one of its kind. In Odisha, we do not have any other Panchuvarahi temple. I'm not too sure if it exists anywhere else in the country. It is historical or architecturally not very. It has not doesn't have much to talk about, but it has got a lot of legends associated with it. The first legend is that Varahis were, they were unknown goddesses staying in a wild jungle, and once there was a wild fire in the jungle. So the people got hopeless and they got very frustrated. So what would they do? When the goddesses got to know about the frustration of the people, they thought to rescue the people, and they extinguished the fire. And people got to know that the blessings of the goddess, they were saved, and that's how since at that time they started the worship of Varahi. And the other legend that goes that the Varahi deities were brought to Satabhaya by merchants through boats from outside. So if we see Satabhaya is a cluster of 7 villages, and if we look into the folk literature of Odisha, we see that most of the stories that start on the merchant start with there were 7 brothers, and as per legend, popular belief is that all the 7 clusters, the cluster of 7 villages belong to those 7 traders. And if you see, the Varahis were put on a pedestal which looked like a boat. So if you connect all these dots, then directly or indirectly we could relate it that the worship or the cult of Varahis were associated with the maritime tradition of Odisha. But the temple is not there anymore. It has been engulfed by the sea. The whole zone is very prone to actually cyclones, and every year there are so many cyclones. Every year it is an annual affair. It has become from 1962 onwards. There were near about 8 to 9 cyclones so far that has occurred over the belt. And with each cyclone, the sea encroaches onto the settlement area near 30 to 40 feet. So almost the situation has become so bad that it has been declared as a climate emergency. According to the Revenue Department, during 1930 settlement, the Satabhaya region covered an area of 320 square kilometers, but right now, around 2000, there is another survey, and it shows that it has almost halved to 155 square kilometers. The Ministry of Forest and Environment confirmed in State Assembly in 2023 that because of this climate erosion and climate change and soil erosion, 16 villages have been submerged in the Kendrapara district of Odisha. Rising sea levels, extreme temperatures, cyclones, they have caused deplorable situation both for the residents as well as for the temples over there. There are 4 images here. The first one on the left hand corner is taken in 2018, and the last one on the right hand corner is taken in 2021. So in 4 years you can see the damage that has caused due to the cyclones and climate change. We are talking about the relocation, so let's just to give you an idea, The first extreme great point where it is next to the sea, the Bay of Bengal, that is the original location of the Panchuvarahi temple, and the extreme end of the red dot is the new area where the temple has been relocated. And in between there is a stretch of near about 12 kilometers, and there is a river that needs to be crossed also in between. Now the relocation process almost started from 1971 onwards, because the worst cyclone that has hit the region so far is the 1971, and out of the 7 villages, one village particularly got washed off, and near about 800 to 1,000 people disappeared overnight. So the talk started from that time, but it took quite a while for the government to be active on this, almost 30 years. So by the time areas were shortlisted for relocation, because when we are talking about relocation, it is a large scale migration that is going to happen. So obviously it will take time. But by the time 4 places were shortlisted in 2010, and the villages were asked to go and see the pros and cons of the relocation and give their opinion to the government, finally they got down to Bagapatia. But the people said that they will not move. People in the sense that the community people, they said that they will not move to any other place unless and until the goddess is also transported along with them. So the whole thing has to be anchored by the villagers, because the government mandate is more for the humans. So the villagers took it on themselves to start this crusade, to set their deity along with them, because the bonding is very emotional. Because see, it is a place where there is no proper access, there is no college, not even schools, there is no hospital. So for every miseries, for their personal miseries or for any climate emergencies, they have to look up to their goddess. And if you speak to the villagers, they have got hundreds of stories which suggest that the deities have been their protector guardian, and they have been saving them so far. So and the belief system has only grown stronger by the day. So it is very obvious that they have to take their mother goddess along with them wherever they go. So that is the determination. And finally, when everything happened on pen and paper, in 2011, foundation stone for the Bagapatia resettlement Yojana was laid down, and 1.5 lakh was given to construct a house, and the land allotted to each of the families was 10 decibel. Now how the land would be given to the goddess. So they spoke to Archaeological Survey of India, because it is almost a very old, 500 years old monument. So the Archaeological Survey of India passed it on to the endowment section of the Temple Trust of Kalinga region, under which all the trust looks after all the temples in the region. So they finally managed to give. There is a lot of challenges. I'm not going to deep into that, but finally they managed to get a land along with a pond and some agricultural land also to the temple, because the temple has to be self-sustainable anyways. So all that was done, and finally it came that the deities have to be shifted to the new place. So the shifting happened on 20th April 2018, and that day has been declared as the Pratishtha Divas of Maa Panchuvarahi. Now there has been quite a lot of challenges in doing so. So the land that they were given was a disputed land. They came up later on. So they had to be either they fight back or they just leave it, but they did not, and they got the ownership of the land after a lot of struggle. Then there was restricted means of communication. There were no proper roads to that temples, to that village so far. So how would they bring the deities back to the new location? So a road had to be constructed. Now the bureaucratic procedure is so high, it's so strong that you cannot think of constructing a road overnight. So at least to commission a road you need 6 months minimum. So ma'am would be better, because she knows she has been in administration. But the bureaucratic process was also cut short, and the villagers managed to construct with the help of the government. Within a month the road was built, and that's how the deities were transported. Now the third challenge was breaking the age-old tradition. It's such a unique village that places were all female. They were not Brahmins. Since age old, the female priests have been worshipping these goddesses, and they are from a particular community called Dalai community. They are basically a tribe. And the male are not, they are totally excluded from performing any rituals. But how did they carry? These stone images almost weigh near about 80 kgs to 1 quintal. So it is not possible for the girls to carry them. So they have to take the help of the male priest, and that's how the tradition was broken after almost a few centuries. And that's how five goddesses, Panchuvarahi, Janjari, Bimali, Kamali, and Maa Panchuvarahi, were relocated along with 571 families. So I was not present in 2018 at that time, unfortunately. I didn't know about it also. But I have taken these images from the video footage of a local news channel. It was not carried majorly anywhere, but it was done locally. So this is that day when the relocation is happening. You see the blue and white thing is the temple, and on the right corner there is a lorry or the vehicle that is waiting for the deity to be transported to that vehicle. And there is a series of 5 different vehicles for 5 different deities. And then the vehicle gets transported, boarded to the boat to cross the river. And finally, you can see that the villagers who are so emotional, and they are almost everyone is crying over here when they are departing from their mother goddess, who has been their protector and savior for generations. And this is the new temple where the 5 goddesses are enshrined and being worshipped right now. Well, once the terracotta horses which were offered to the goddess, which lay scattered in the old temple, are now standing installed in the new one. The temple which has been already engulfed by the sea finds a new lease of life at another place. In the conclusion, I would say that the effects of climate change on cultural heritage has gained attention in various international forums, especially in COP25, and in future in further conferences also. But here the most important thing is that it has been regarded as the first vanishing village due to climate change. If you internet or if you try to read more about Sattva, you find hundreds of articles about the climate aspect and the climate refugees. But you will hardly find anything on the temple relocation, which I would say that it was a victory of the community people, because when they transported to 12 kilometers away, they lost their livelihood. Most of these villages are very poor. They depend on their agriculture and fishing. Besides that, they do not have any other livelihood options. But they have come to a place where there is no job. They are just depending, because if you go to the new village, most of the male members who are young, they have all migrated to Kerala or Tamil Nadu as migrant laborers. And the village is all full of women fending for themselves, and the old people who are left without any support as such. So the unique example of resilience, devotion, pursuance, villagers have given a respectable abode, compromising their own livelihood. That I thought was very important. And the new temple at Abode has better access, and it has been witnessing a surge of devotees as well as visitors. Most of my paper is totally based on the conversation that I had with the villagers of Abode